You know, Linux may cost you time, but at least it doesn't cost you a cost. Whoa, that's a lot of money. Hey there everyone, I'm Sam Tucker, and today I'd like to welcome you to the iPhone explained by a Linux user. Okay, so the first thing you'll notice about the iPhone is that it only comes in one distro, which is a little bit disappointing because it's far too easy to use. I mean, rather than creating a petition, downloading an open source driver and fingering the BIOS, instead, iOS 17 was far too easy to install. In fact, it did it itself while I was sleeping, which is very rude because with Linux, it doesn't do anything until I say to do it first. And even when I do tell it what to do, it's still kind of difficult. The terminal is very underpowered. I mean, when I type in my commands like sudo apt-get, well, it doesn't get it. In fact, it might even autocorrect it to something like sumo ape-ted, but he wasn't a sumo at all. In fact, there's a lot of things that might frustrate a Linux user. Like the package manager is very restrictive. I mean, if you want to install an app that isn't listed there, well, instead of just updating your repos like in Linux, instead, with iPhone, you have to move to Europe. And that is a very big investment for Fortnite. You can't dual boot multiple OSs. You can't even have multiple user accounts on an iPhone. Meanwhile, I can create a new user account on my Linux machine for anyone who wants it. Haven't had any takers yet, but they're welcome. Strangely, the screen on the iPhone doesn't come upside down. Even when I turn it, it's the right way up. But it does come with a bunch of proprietary apps that are all closed source. And who knows what Apple is doing with your data? Which is a shame, because Linux comes with a plethora of open source applications that give you control over your data. And the only price is that they look like they come from the 80s. Also, if you don't know what you're doing, you might lose your data. What do you mean I have to click save? I haven't had to do that in years. But let me tell you, Linux users, the iPhone is not really worth your time. I mean, yes, Linux may have its flaws. For instance, the audio might not always work on a Linux build, but at least there's a plug for it. And it might not be able to run all of the popular software, but at least it doesn't use up much resources while it doesn't. And so the only time you should really choose an iPhone is if the only alternative is a Linux phone.
Subscribe today!
Hey everyone! Welcome to a terrible experiment. As a proud Mac user, I've done the unthinkable and installed Linux on my beautiful, beautiful little Apple computer. Sorry, Steve. Yuck. Let's see if we survive.